if we put Zion and Ayin together, that rhymes, we get a word, Zah, which is a root for a Hebrew word that means to move, to take action. Okay? So action is, are we perceiving that there is any action being taken on the behalf of the people that we are helping to become productive? And we can say, yes, what I am doing, the way I'm helping them, they're taking advantage of it, they're being productive, they're growing, they're going to be free from me in no time. And we remember in the Rambam told us that one of the ways that we can show charity is to help someone to become productive to a point where they don't need you anymore. Okay? In that case, you don't want to stop what you're doing. You want to keep helping this person to become productive because they're working hard with what you're giving them to do something. But the other end of the spectrum, they take and they take and they take. They come to you and they say, I have a bill that's $5. You give them $10. They pay $2.50 on the bill. They go off and they spend $7.50 on stuff that they don't really need. And then they come to you when the $2.50s due and they say, I need $10, and you give them $20 and they pay the $2.50, but they don't bother to save any for the next time that the bill is fixing to come around, which is in a couple of days because they procrastinated, and they blow away this, you see the cycle. Then they come, before you know it, they're coming to you, I need $1,000. Okay? But they're not doing anything. They're not growing. They're not prospering. They're not moving. They're not saving to help themselves. So, are we showing any kind of love to them by continuing to help? Or are we showing love to the ones that we are helping because they are growing? Well, we're not showing love to the people who are not growing. We're enabling them to fail. We're helping them to get to a point where they have nothing, they're living in the cave. And they're turning away from Elohim because their life is at a point where they feel, I don't have time for God, or God's not helping me anymore. All that God stuff is nonsense because I don't see anything. We have a word, 490 is the numerical value of lechava et otom. Lechava otom. It means to love them. To love them. So my perception of what I'm doing to someone, to help someone, yields a question. Do I love them? Because to love them is to do the right thing. The right thing sometimes is to be miserable by stepping away and saying, I can't help you anymore. Now, to love those we are trying to help requires us to recognize whether or not the help that we are giving them is helping them to grow or hurting them by making them dependent. Proverbs tells us that the lazy person starves because he won't lift the food to his mouth. Now, we have to feed an infant. Baby can't feed itself. But eventually the baby learns to feed itself. So yes, I am my brother's keeper, and I love my brother whether I help him to prosper or whether I step away trusting in the power and the ability of Yahuwah Elohim to act and let him hit bottom because he will do nothing to grow. And that's a more acceptable answer to me than to say, well, you know, you got the spirit that dwells inside of you and you got to pray about it. And, you know, yeah, it's a good answer. It is a good answer, but
this is the first test.
this is a topical.
And then there's the leading, right?
Huh?
This is like test one,
Yeah.
when it goes through this step and then the leading and unctioning and
Right. You
the
know,
unfortunate, much of our conviction comes from our behavioral emotions versus
Yeah.
how we're raised and treated and whatever, you know.
Everybody, I know everybody in this room is compassionate. Compassionate, fortunately compassionate to a fault, you know. But there's a Jewish proverb, and somebody might consider it a Chinese proverb, but we'll take credit for it, that says, give a man a fish, he'll eat. Teach a man to fish, and he'll eat the rest of his life.
That's an hesitation.
And that's the gist of this story, is we help people to become productive so that they can be independent. But when we help someone and they don't do anything, then we're not helping them. Any questions?
Good answer.
Saving them up for the
It's the
cameras.
difference between a helping hand and,
Yeah.
A hindering hand.
But yeah, it
I
just,
mean, this is our world today, where the Western,
Yeah.
world has become.
but
and
that
that's
question just nagged the living daylights out of me, so.
Great.
Thank
You nailed it.
And that's good.
You nailed it.
So anyway, well, we've achieved grooviness then.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you all.